produce a lot of fear and suspicion and things and of that nature in the band. So here we are at the tail end of Blink, and we're sitting in Europe, and there's like the biggest shows I've ever played in my life, pretty much. I mean, we're having like 17,000 some people in night screaming and chanting and breaking the walls down, Blink, Blink, and we're backstage like crying and screaming at each other, all about 12 years of bullshit kind of leading up and all coming out those like few nights. And we think we kind of patched it up, we went through everything. I mean, for days and days we would argue and just get it all out, and I'm not starting a solo record, or Boxcar wasn't meant to do that, or all I want to do is Blink, but I need to be with my family and all these things. And it was all out. And then I said, okay, well, I'm going to go home and I'm going to take 6 months off, because that's what I need, but I'll start demoing, doing demos. And I think the idea of me doing demos by myself sparked some more fear again. But in my mind, I knew that the only way that I can produce my songwriting, at that point in my life, to make it evolve, I knew I had to do it with computers. And I didn't know how to do that, so I just wanted to lock myself in a room and learn how to use that as a tool. Well, I think those guys might have saw that as me trying to leave them out of the recording process, which wasn't my intent at all. It was like, to me, it was the equivalent of the way I play guitar and write songs at home anyways. But I'm going to grab a new tool and try and put some demos together. But like I said, it was all like this fear thing. And then we have a practice, and the arguments heated up again, and they all started coming down on me again. All the stuff we talked about for like the arguments for a week and whatever, like crazy. Like, we were so exhausted after those arguments that when that stuff came up again, I couldn't even believe that we were bringing it up again. There was nothing left to say. Like, so much so, like, there was so much nothing left. We were so emotionally drained, and so like it was like such a gnarly wound that opened up, and we healed it. Then all of a sudden the bandages got ripped right back off, and we're like, "Are you like? I cannot believe we're going to start talking about this again." And that was the last day that band existed in this rehearsal studio in Los Angeles, and it was such a bum out, because they're such great guys, and that was such a great band. But I just knew, some things were said that I know they didn't mean, but it wasn't that they said these things. It was more about, I just knew that the view they had about where they wanted to take music, or what they wanted to do in their own lives, or how much they wanted to be gone, or what they wanted the band to mean in their life, it was different than myself. It's not that I didn't want to play music or be the biggest band in the world or travel or whatever. It was like I needed to be home with my family at that moment, and and they didn't need to at that moment, so I think we were butting heads. So here I go. So I'm walking out of the rehearsal studio, and I look over at Doug, my guitar tech, and I said, "Meet me in a few weeks. I have another thing in mind." I drove home, and as I'm driving home, I wait about 5 miles, and I make a phone call to our manager, and I said, "Hey, I can't do this anymore." And he's like, "Are you serious?" And I go to his house. We walk along the beach. It's midnight in San Diego. Talk about everything. I can't do it anymore, and I can't even imagine what I would say. I can't even imagine arguing anymore. I can't even imagine going through. He's like, "Why do you think you're going to have to argue again? Why do you think you're going to have to?" Because, well, I just know I will. We went through, weeks of it, like, weeks of it. Like, what am I going to say again? And so that's why I had the manager call. I said, "You know what? Just make the phone call, tell him I'm going away." After I did Boxcar Eraser, which is really just an attempt for me to learn how to write songs differently so I can bring it back to the table for Blink, but I was really proud of it, and everyone really liked it, so I think it created some hostilities. Well, I know it did in Blink. It totally did. I was never meant to be this real band, but it turned out to be quite one. We toured it for 4 weeks, but it was quite a big band for how short it was one. And then after that, I wrote a song for a rapper named Talib Kweli. He was like this really rootsy, cool rapper that touches on social and political issues, and I was doing that just to see if I can write someone else's song. The song was really rad. It was great. It was a really good song, and as soon as the label heard it, they offered me a solo deal. Now, I was flattered, of course, there's no way in hell I would ever quit Blink-182 and do a solo. I would feel like an asshole. I'd feel like a total dick to do something like that. But I remember there was these emails going back and forth from the label to our manager, and after 30 or 40 responses, this one was like the first one that initiated a whole host of other conversations, and they sent it over to some of the guys in the band, and they went through like, you know, all these things. They had to answer questions, and they started reading back all the way, and the very first email out of like 30 that was on this thing was, hey, talking about this solo thing. So I think they were always thinking that I was planning or conspiring to leave, but it was like the craziest shit. It was like the furthest thing from the truth. But at that point, no one believed me anyway, so that was the biggest thing. That's my hardest thing about the past to coming here was this was the best thing I could have ever done in my life. I'm with the best people, and I'm making the best music of my career, and I truly believe this is going to be the biggest band in the world. I just don't know when. So I'm happier than I've ever been. But the way to get here, it really sucked because I left under this veil of fear and suspicion and all these things that really weren't true. And even in the very last seconds, I'm not doing this anything on my own. I'm not trying to control a band. I'm not trying to write the songs by myself. I'm trying to go home, be with my family. I'm trying to learn how to write better using different tools. And other than that, let's keep going as usual. But it didn't happen that way. I told those guys, I said, hey, I just want to be, I looked at them, I said, I want to be the biggest band in the world, and I want to be your best friends, and I want to love my job more than anything. I said, I just had to be a good dad. Well, I have to be a good dad and a good husband, meaning now that I have a little 2-year-old running around, I have to make sure that I'm there for her and I'm not on tour 300 days out of the year. Well, that's it. Just let me be the best dad I can be, and then we'll be the biggest band in the world. And they told me that if that was going to be my priority, then I better be cool with the repercussions. And it was really strange because I don't really think they meant that, but that's what was coming out of their mouths at the time. So I knew at that moment, I didn't think they were bad guys, and I didn't think that they were trying to be dicks. Or they're not. I don't think that about them. I just think that what they want to do and what their priorities are different from mine, because I need to, not only do I need to create music, and it's absolutely a part of me, and if I don't do it, I'll probably explode. It's in me. I have to create music, but I'm so into being a dad, and I'm so into like just being a normal dude that I can't let my ambitions with music fuck that up at all. Absolutely not. I mean, it's like not even a question in my head. And so when they kind of gave me an ultimatum over my family, it was really strange. Like, it was strange, and I just knew at that moment that it wasn't for me. I couldn't do it anymore. And things up to that point have been getting strange anyways. They were getting weird as far as like a separation of the band, about how, I think we just grew apart. And I didn't want it for fame. I didn't want it for money. I had no desire to be more famous. We made way more money than we ever thought we'd make. And yeah, it's nice to make more money, but that's not what I'm looking for. The last thing I told him, I said, I'm not going to quit this band. I'm not asking to run this band. I don't even want to be in control of it. It wasn't even like an issue like that. And no one knows this stuff. I think that kids are probably thinking that they either kicked me out, or there was fights over money, or there was like this weird Hollywood shit, and that wasn't it, And I'm kind of that kind of guy where I'm full of passion. Everything I do, I try and do it to the best of my ability, and I jump so far into it that I get completely immersed in it, and I can't even think straight or sleep until it's finished. But I've never done something like this before, where I have this complete vision where I want this music to be larger than life, and I want it to give you chills, and I want it to make you really think, and I want it to really showcase who I am, because I'm still that dumb guy that I was in Blink. We make dumb jokes, and we used to make all these dick jokes and say stupid shit, and that's still such a part of me. I'm still like that, but I think with this music now, I'm at such a different place where I just want to create something that's so extraordinary and so massive, and not massive in the sense of like sales, but just like when you hear it and you feel it, and the song starts and it starts building and building, and it takes you to a special, like, really rad different place, and you just you get the chills, and I think we're doing it.